Very unexpected news. Loudly crying face the painful secret of BTS Suga. Loudly crying face the heartbreaking truth behind his smile. In the deafening roar of a sold-out stadium, where purple lights flood the night sky like a galaxy, one man stands with a calm that seems almost unnatural. To the world, he is Suga, the genius producer of BTS. He is the rap superstar who spits fire and commands the stage with a single gesture. But if you look past the swagger and the designer suits, you will find a silence that is heavy with history. It is a silence born not of peace, but of a war fought in the shadows of a small room in Daegu. This is not the story of a pop star who was destined for greatness. It is the story of Min Yoongi, a boy who had to burn his own soul to keep the fire of his dreams alive. The narrative of Suga begins in conflict. Born into a modest family in Daegu, his early relationship with music was not a joyful discovery, but a rebellion. According to various interviews and his own lyrics, his parents strongly opposed his dream of becoming a musician. They wanted stability for their son, a life free from the poverty that haunts the arts. For a young Min Yoongi, this was the first heartbreak. The people he loved most did not believe in the only thing that made him feel alive. During his teenage years, the struggle was physical and financial. He worked part-time jobs in recording studios, not for fame, but just to learn the equipment. It is well documented in fan translations of his early logs that he often faced a cruel choice at the end of the day: buy a bowl of noodles and walk hours home, or take the bus and go hungry. He sold his beats for pennies, sometimes getting scammed, receiving nothing for his work. He was a ghost in the underground hip-hop scene, talented but starving, screaming into a void that refused to answer back. When he finally moved to Seoul to join Big Hit Entertainment, the hardships did not end, they turned dangerous. In a story that has become a defining part of his lore, Suga worked as a delivery boy to support his trainee life. One rainy day, a motorcycle accident shattered his shoulder. But he did not go to the hospital. He did not tell his agency. He was terrified that if they knew he was injured, they would fire him. So, Min Yoongi lived with a dislocated, throbbing shoulder for years. He practiced dancing with a broken body, swallowing the pain, driven by a fear so profound that it silenced his physical agony. He later revealed in his solo song, The Last, that this was the time his mind began to fracture. The mental toll of this era was devastating. In his raw and unfiltered mixtape released under the name August D, Suga opened a vein and bled his truth. He rapped about visiting a psychiatrist, about the sociophobia that made him hide in the bathroom, terrified of people. He spoke of OCD and depression, monsters that lived under his bed. While the other trainees were worried about dance steps, Suga was worried about his own mind. He felt like a failure, a burden. There were nights, as hinted in his lyrics and docu series, where he wanted to give up on everything, where the darkness was so thick he could not see the morning. He was fighting a war that no one else could see. Yet, Min Yoongi did not break. Or perhaps, he broke and rebuilt himself, piece by jagged piece. He channeled this agonizing pain into his music. He realized that his suffering was not a weakness, it was his raw material. He spent sleepless nights in the studio, the Genius Lab, working while the world slept. He decided that if the world would not give him a chance, he would force the world to listen. His anger became his fuel. The Han, a Korean concept of deep, sorrowful resentment, became his muse. When BTS debuted, the criticism was immediate. Hip-hop purists called him an idol puppet. Idols called him too aggressive. He belonged nowhere. But Suga took this rejection and forged it into armor. He proved his worth not with words, but with an unrelenting work ethic. He produced hit after hit, his lyrics evolving from anger to empathy. He wrote about the pressure of the education system, the crushing weight of capitalism, and the loneliness of youth. He became the voice for a generation that was also hurting. However, success brought a different kind of shadow. As BTS climbed to heights that no Asian act had ever reached, Suga faced a paradox. He had achieved everything he ever dreamed of: money, fame, respect, yet he felt empty. In the Break the Silence docu series, he spoke candidly about the fear of falling. The higher they flew, the more terrifying the drop looked. He admitted to feeling burnout, questioning if he deserved the love he was receiving. The imposter syndrome whispered that he was a fraud. Even at the top of the Billboard charts, Min Yoongi often felt alone in a crowd of millions. But it is in this vulnerability that the world fell in love with him. People do not love Suga just because he can rap fast. They love him because he is the most human. He does not pretend to be always happy. He is the member who admits he wants to be a rock in his next life. He acts as the quiet guardian of the group. Fans have compiled endless moments of his tsundere nature, cold on the outside, warm on the inside. He fixes the broken items in the dorm. He silently passes water bottles to the younger members without making eye contact. He prepares gifts for fans with his own hands. His love is not a performance. It is a quiet act of service. The release of his final solo album D-Day and the subsequent tour in 2023 marked the completion of a trilogy and a personal healing. On stage, he performed Amygdala, a song that revisits his accident, his mother's illness, and his father's cancer. But this time, he didn't rap with rage. He performed with acceptance. He showed his scars to the world, literally and metaphorically, and declared that they no longer controlled him. He had made peace with the boy from Daegu who was too poor to eat. He had forgiven the young man who was too angry to smile. When it was time to fulfill his mandatory military service in September 2023, Suga entered as a social service agent, likely due to the long-term impact of that severe shoulder injury from his youth. It was a poignant reminder of the price he paid for his dreams. He left quietly, asking fans to wait for him, promising a reunion in 2025. Suga's journey is a testament to the power of endurance. He is living proof that a person can be shattered by depression, crippled by anxiety, and physically broken, and still rise. He did not succeed in spite of his pain. He succeeded because he was brave enough to face it. He taught millions of people that it is okay to not have a dream, that it is okay to be weak, and that survival itself is a victory. As we look at the empty studio chair he has left behind for now, we do not feel pity. We feel a profound, silent reverence. We see a man who walked through hell and came back with a melody. Min Yoongi showed us that the most beautiful songs are often born from the deepest wounds. The narrative of Suga ends not with a bang, but with a quiet, steady breath. It is the breath of a survivor. It is the stillness of a man who has finally learned to be kind to himself. And in that silence, we find a message louder than any stadium anthem. Your pain does not define you, but how you choose to heal from it does. And for that lesson, the world offers him its deepest, most silent bow of respect.